This is Saurabh, and you're listening to my favorite talk show, The Weekly Show with Aditya.
Mogambo. Khushwa.
Tonight's song is something which we all must have heard, especially those who are my contemporaries must have sung this song in their respective assemblies. So let's see who all remember playing this song or singing this song. There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying, and it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We can't go on pretending day by day that someone somewhere will soon make a change. We are all part of great big family, and the truth love is all we need. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we making. We saving our own lives. It's true, will make a better day. Just you and me. Send them your heart so they'll know that someone cares and their lives will be stronger and free. God has shown us by turning stone to bread, so we all must lend a helping hand. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we making. We saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day. Just you and me. Down and out, there seems no hope at all. You just believe there's nowhere we can fall. Well. Let us realize that a change can only come when we stand together as one. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day. Just you and me. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day. Just you and me. Alright, let me hear you. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day. Just you and me. Come on, y'all, let me hear you. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day. Just you and me. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day. Just you and me. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day. Just you and me. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day. Just you and me. After months and months of intense speculation, the tournament, which affects directly and indirectly a host of entities and people as far as their employment and financial aspect is concerned. And after dilly dallying and unable to come to a decision as to whether this particular tournament should take place or not for reasons which were obvious, they were there, but yet this tournament was always going to be conducted. And then what happens? Another country sends an invitation that we are ready to host this tournament. But let me tell you, it is not a straightforward shift in the contemporary times, a world which is resembling a circus full of chaos and confusion right now. Shifting this particular tournament from one country to another was not straightforward. It required the permission of a host of agencies, the entities directly and indirectly involved, that is, the various teams like Chennai Indians, Mumbai Super Kings, Kings 11, Bangalore, Sunrisers Delhi, Deccan Chargers, Capitals, Hyderabad, and other teams. After finally clearing the bureaucratic red tape as to whether this tournament can be conducted outside the territory or not, and after getting all the red tape permissions, this particular tournament has shifted base to another country, that is for now Dubai and Sharjah. It won't be that easy for the individuals involved, that is, the sponsors, the Indian Cricket Board in itself, the athletes, the broadcasters, and the other crew to just pack up their bags and leave. They have to go through a host of protocols, the testing, the quarantine, being shut in your own room. According to a few pseudo experts, that the team which mentally survives the lockdown, the quarantine, and all the testing is the one which will go on to win the tournament, because walking into such biosecurity protocols is like walking into a safe room. Means once you're in the room you cannot go out because of all the secrets inside that room. Right now there are no secrets, but what is there is the tight protocols that are associated with this tournament. As I said, players can't just walk in, they have to go through host of rules, the mitigations involved in conduct of the tournament. Let's look at some of the stringent protocols associated with the conduct of this tournament. How various team managements sparing no expense to make sure that the players follow the biosecurity stringent rules, that if any rule is to be followed, if there are supposed to be things that are to be followed, which I shall talk about later, they are making sure that the players get the best of facilities while being locked inside their own minds, literally and metaphorically. First protocol, as always, which we have been hearing for the past 3 to 4 months, especially when the various domestic sporting tournaments started, there would be no human contact. What does that mean? It means that a player of a team cannot meet their teammates. Forget meeting teammates of other opponent teams. It means that, for example, Virat Kohli, who is the captain of the Bangalore team, will not be able to meet AB de Villiers or have any kind of interaction that they used to have. No contact with other players or even the housekeeping staff, at the end of which they will be tested for this thing. Only after that will they be able to meet their teammates and start training. While I understand that such kind of rules have to be obeyed by the passive and the active stakeholders, we really need to go all the way and tell what the players are going to do, what they are not supposed to do, that they will be locked in their own rooms, that they won't be allowed to talk to their teammates because they will be under quarantine, and isolation and what one calls solitary confinement in the first week. If you look at it from the players' point of view, it was at what one would call they took a great risk in even agreeing to participate in this tournament. Once you are in, once you have decided to play this tournament, whether you are part of the coaching staff or the active players pool, I don't think any of the players are bothered about the protocols they have to endure, because it would be better than being cooped up inside their own homes where they can't even go for something as simple as training. If you look at this from another angle, this is not the first what one calls the semi public slash private tournament where private entities are involved. It is not the first such tournament to start. The various football leagues started, yes, they also had to go through their own protocols and rules and whatnot. The NBA also started. Unlike what happened here, this is the only tournament which has shifted base. The NBA didn't shift base despite what all is happening in that part of the world. The various European and English football tournaments did not shift base. It was obvious that this tournament was going to happen. The various team managements put enough pressure on the Indian Cricket Board to conduct this tournament, not because of the obvious financial losses the various teams and the Cricket Board will face in general. No way were they concerned about their players. Yes, their players are important only because of which the tournament is conducted, and the team managements are sparing no expense as to make sure that the players are adhering to the various quarantine rules by buying an entire wing, or as they call, booking an entire wing of a hotel with separate air conditioning units. Doesn't allay the fears of the financial losses they were going to face. So this tournament was always going to be on the cards. Yes, they kept us on their tender hooks by having this discussion of to play or not to play. There is no surprise that this tournament was finally conducted or will be conducted, but there's a caveat. Overseas players who were already under various quarantine rules, that is, if you look at the likes of George Butler, Ben Stokes, they were already under quarantine rules as far as their own private bilateral tournament was concerned. And right now, various teams in the West Indies are playing their own T20 domestic tournaments. Their players are also under these kind of rules. So the question becomes, if the overseas players who are already subjected to enough quarantine, do they have to go through this quarantine process all over again? Because remember, they will break one bubble, they will prick one bubble to enter another. And right now, no one, neither the team managements nor the Indian Cricket Board has any clarity, because both these entities have different views as to whether the overseas players who have been under enough quarantine, who have been subjected to enough tests, do they have to go through this all over again? That is something which yet is not clear. But these team managements know that without their pool of overseas players, the various teams will not be the teams they are. So if there is no AB de Villiers in the Bangalore team, there is no Malinga or Pollard in the Mumbai team, or there is no Russell and such players in the Calcutta team, these teams are left defenseless without them. That becomes a very interesting situation. What happens, we shall know very soon. Is there any correlation between education and economy? It's a question to which there is no straightforward and diplomatic answer. Difficult to put a finger to this question as to how do you separate education and economy? How do you see them as in isolation? How do you see them as a whole? Do they have a relation? Do they depend on each other? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. In his book Anti-Fragile, Nassim Nicholas Taleb has a very interesting take on the relationship between education and economy. So my question is, do we go to an educational institution to generate income in the future or to generate knowledge? As far as this author is concerned, education has benefits aside from stabilizing family incomes. Education makes individuals more polished dinner partners, for instance, something non negligible. But the idea of educating people to improve the economy is rather novel. The British government documents as early as 50 years ago an aim for education other than the one we have today, raising values, making good citizens, and learning, not economic growth. This is, in fact, a very interesting point. Now, let's analyze this article, which has a completely and wholesome different view. Entrepreneurs are change makers in capitalist economies. Their innovations and their inherent need to bring to life unique economic assets is what leads to improved standards of living in these economies, which are becoming far more complex today, with regular white collar jobs having reduced demand and an urgent need for entrepreneurs and innovators to solve pressing social environmental issues. The 2 points in this article and by the author are like chalk and cheese. While the author focuses on education and knowledge, something more than just for economy and capitalism. This article solely focuses on the fact that we go to a university, we take a course because we want to add to the capitalistic nature. On the other hand, this author has a different take from what this article says. In ancient times, learning was for learning's sake, to make someone a good person worth talking to, not to increase the stock of gold in cities' heavily guarded coffers. Entrepreneurs, particularly those in technical jobs, are not necessarily the best people to have dinner with. It's a gray area, but I slightly agree with the fact that learning is for learning's sake. A difficult egg to crack. Which side do we lean on? Do we see education and universities as sources of producing money makers, or do we see education and universities as sources of producing good learners and what this article says, good human beings, and not just monotonous robots who are produced to add to what this article says, gold in cities' heavily guarded coffers. As it follows, we end up in universities and educational institutes to learn, but then unless we put this learning to a test, unless we apply this learning is seen as a waste. Is it seen as a waste? Is learning to be only applied, and is the application related to being in that economical sense? Well, it's a question to which there is no reasonably concrete answer. Everyone will have a different point of view. Learning will always be an abstract concept, something which is not seen, something which is just added to one's knowledge base. Then the issue is, what is the definition of applying the learnings in actual life? What is actual life? That is one question that one doesn't know. Should sometimes learning be only reserved for learning's sake? I believe that should also be one of the focuses of an individual and of an entire entity in itself. It is a universal truth that while for some learning is for learning's sake, to just add to the knowledge base, to add to the data bank of one, for others it's about becoming self dependent and fairly competing to contribute, add to the GDP. There will always be a thin line between education and economy. Education for learning's sake or education for adding to the GDP, becoming self dependent, and other things related to the financial aspect of the same. But I will disagree with the fact that universities should be only be seen as assembly lines to produce individuals who will eventually end up being only quantitative. Is education for quantitative or qualitative purposes is something which my listeners should for themselves, because concepts like learning process, other similar ideas are wholly abstract. Let's continue some interesting P.G. Woodhouse novel reading. Well, how can you blame the poor angel? Naturally, he thought you were international spies in the pay of Moscow, prowling about the house at this time of night. I can understand Bertie doing it because he was dropped on the head as a baby, but I'm surprised at you, Uncle Watkin. Why don't you go to bed? "I shall be delighted to go to bed," said Pop Bassett stiffly, "if you will kindly remove this animal. He is a public menace." "Very high strung," I put in. "We were remarking on it only just now." "He's all right if you don't go out of your way to stir him up. "Get back to your basket, Bartholomew, you bounder," said Stiffy, and such was the magic of her personality that the hound turned up on its heel without a word and passed into the night. Pop Bassett climbed down from the chest and directed a fishy magisterial look at me. "Good night, Mr. Wooster. If there is any more of my furniture you wish to break, pray consider yourself at perfect liberty to indulge your particular tastes," he said, and he too passed into the night. Stiffy looked after him with a thoughtful eye. "I don't believe Uncle Watkin likes you, Bertie, and noticed the way he kept staring at you at dinner, as if appalled. Well, I don't wonder your arrival hit him hard. It did me. I've never been so surprised in my life as when you suddenly bobbed up like a corpse rising to the surface of a sheet of water. Harold told me he had pleaded with you to come here, but nothing would induce you. What made you change your mind?" "In my previous sojourn at Tortoletas, circumstances had compelled me to confide in this young prune my position as regarded her cousin Madeline, so I had no hesitation now in giving her the lowdown."
For more awesome content, tune in to the next episode of the weekly show with Aditya.